Welcome to another Sales Wisdom Pod with Dr. Danielle Jervey Harmon with us today. She's a business sales optimization consultant, keynote speaker, trainer. She's equipping SMEs and corporate sales teams to increase their confidence and surpass their sales KPI. We're going to talk about the money mindset today, the sales training, sales ops, business growth strategy, and everything between. Me and Darnyelle were speaking pre-pod about some of my goals, which I guess she sort of digs because there's some money mindset in there. There's some sales, there's some remarketing. It's going to be a fun one. This podcast is brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start your own podcast, if you want to monetize and scale the unconventional way, you can go to podpire.com. Danielle, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Charles. I'm excited to be here. So, you introduced me so well. So, in addition to that, I would say what I really love, I have kind of two lanes I play in. So, for larger small businesses and corporations, we help with sales optimization. And then for entrepreneurs and micro business owners, we work to get them to the $1 million mark. So, we are a consultancy that looks at the entire business's infrastructure and helps the client to position it to be able to scale and then ultimately sustain a business that makes at minimum $1 million a year. I think $1 million business is the floor, not the ceiling. And if you're not making $1 million a year in your business, you don't even really have one. And so my mission is to help people understand money mindset, to understand what money is, and to understand how to keep it moving consistently through the work that it is that they do. I believe that the further you tap into your purpose, the more committed you are to operating in the principles that govern God's amazing universe and understanding how money works and your commitment to solve the problems of the people that have been unsuccessful at solving their problem on their own, the more money you can make. And so I'm here to help as many people as possible understand what that looks like. Our clients primarily, they're amazing at what they do, but they really lack business acumen. They weren't business majors in college, right? They're social workers or, whatever, but they were not understanding business. So helping them to understand how to truly become a CEO and build a business that serves them is what really lights me up and gets me excited.
Love that. You started your career at Bank of America, I believe. So you had a couple of years in the banking sector. You saw big money. You worked in fraud and a bunch of interesting positions. And then you transitioned to Mary Kay and you rolled in a pink Cadillac because you were quite good at sales there. So tell us about that career shift in which you discovered money and then entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So I actually never worked at Bank of America. Bank of America bought the company I worked for, MBNA, and I left just as the merger was about to happen. But I loved corporate America, and I'm so glad I started my career there because I learned so much, including business acumen, KPIs, sales, money, how to see money differently than most of us see it. If we're teachers or nurses, like just an entirely different training ground, battleground, if you will. And it really gave me the understanding and the permission to seek a way to do something else. So I was 12 years into my career. I literally woke up one day without a plan, Charles, and I quit my job. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I was willing to bet on myself to see if I had what it took to be an entrepreneur. And so I literally walked into my boss's office in 2004 and I quit. And while I was figuring out what I was going to do when I grew up, I sold Mary Kay Cosmetics. I ended up becoming a sales director and offspringing some sales directors and getting that pink Cadillac within 5 months of walking away from my job. I did Mary Kay full time for 2 years, and then it dawned on me what I was supposed to do. And so that's when I started my own company. And when I started my own company, and this is to give everybody who's listening hope, I sucked. I was the worst at it. So bad, in fact, that within 9 months, I was looking for a job and filing bankruptcy because I didn't know what in the world I was doing. So I went back to work for 2 years. And in those 2 years, I became a student, a real student of business. Now I have an MBA. The MBA that I hold works really, really well when you work in a corporate infrastructure. It does not work really well when you're an entrepreneur. And so there are many things I had to learn outside of the skill that I understood, which was marketing. That's my background. That's what my MBA is in. I learned all of that over those 2 years. I mean, I devoured everything that I could find that would teach me how to be able to build my business and sustain it and to get it to the $1 million mark. And so when I came back into my business full time, January 1st, 2011, within 3 years, I was running a 7-figure company, and we really haven't looked back. We took a small dip in revenue because I hated my 7-figure business. I had to figure out how to have a business that earns at that level that serves me instead of me feeling like I created a really good job for myself. And so I took about 18 months to do that. And since then, we've been riding high at multiple 7 figures and helping other people do the same.
So your clients, what kind of problems do they face in trying to reach that 7-figure revenue number there?
Number one is absolutely money mindset. The belief that they could have that kind of money and they could have it without having to work hard. Now, where there'll be work, absolutely, you have to work, but it doesn't have to be hustle and grind work. And so I'm teaching them the significance of infrastructure and systems and automation and building out team is what's going to allow them to not have to work and toil super hard. That's probably the number one. Second to that would be messaging, trying to find the right words to say, especially in the marketplace. Like, we're in a shift right now, right? What worked in 2021, 2022 does not work in 2024 and barely worked in 2023. And so staying abreast of the important nuances of messaging and how to rise above the noise in the very crowded marketplace is something where I think a lot of people struggle. If you're not naturally gifted with words, it can be really hard to figure out how to articulate the problem in a way that's going to make a person stop the scroll and pay attention to what it is that you're saying. So we do a lot of work with our clients around messaging, and then recognizing the marketing streams that are tried and true, that are not fad, and that will work in any economy, and helping them to build infrastructure around those particular marketing streams is another thing. Like, for instance, speaking, getting to places, biggest fears in the world, yet 87% of those who are wealthy speak well in public and are known for their ability to speak well in public. So trying to find ways that are going to work for them in their business to be able to get out of their own way. And then the last problem that I would say we see all the time amongst our clients is, and this ties back to money mindset, they undercharge and they overpackage. So they're got way too many things in the package and they are not charging nearly enough. And so helping them to understand that you don't have to overpackage and you can charge more. So those are probably the 3 biggest challenges we see.
And then when it comes to sales, do they lack the systems to get out there? Do they also have the false belief that, if they outreach to people, they're gonna lose their reputation, they're gonna look like idiots? What outdated sales belief do they entertain?
Yeah, so from a sales perspective, part of it is just asking for the sale. Again, these are often the people that we work with. They're coaches, they're consultants, they're accountants, they're attorneys. They are not business people. They have a skill set that solves a problem, but they don't understand business. So just asking for the sale can sometimes be a challenge, right? Getting in position and recognizing if you can solve somebody's problem, you're doing them a disservice to not tell them. So teaching them to understand how the sales conversation goes so that they don't feel like they're the used car salesperson, which is often the vision that they see in their heads when someone mentions sales to them, right? Even though nothing happens until somebody sells something. We're in business to sell. Profit is how we keep score. Our ability to transact, right? I like to think of sales as a conversation where I help you to understand that I have the solution that you're seeking. And that's it. And so my job is to convey the value in solving the problem so that you're willing to release your resource to get access to the solution. And so a lot of work, it's still often money mindset that we're dealing with under the guise of sales. And then the second thing is how to have the sales conversation in a way that really does feel authentic, that doesn't make you feel like you're not listening to the person, you're just trying to get something. So really teaching them how to navigate the sales conversation, and then making sure that everything from an onboarding perspective is in place so that while on that call, when you get the yes, you can accept payment and start onboarding that client to bring them closer to the solution that they need.
your mindset, was it always that way? What challenges did you had to go through to evolve through the Jedi mindset that you have today?
That's funny, Charles. No, my mindset it was not always like this. I'm a product of two drug addicted turned crack addicted parents, and I was born in the projects of Wilmington, Delaware. So, in case you don't know what that means and it feels like I'm speaking Greek to you, let me break it down to you. We didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. We were so poor that we couldn't afford the OR. We were poor. So I was not raised around money. I was not taught about money. So even part of the reason I filed bankruptcy was because I wasn't taught about money. I was financially illiterate. And here I am, an adult who has access to money, and being raised poor with a lack mindset meant for me that money was just to pay bills. That's what I thought money was. I didn't understand what it was. I was not literate, and it impacted everything. That's why I ended up filing bankruptcy. And I used a lot of credit because, often when you're a person who is middle class, you see the need to have good credit as what it's all about, because when you have good credit, you can buy things you can't afford. So I was either just living to pay my bills or trying to live beyond my means, because I didn't understand that money was created to multiply and to move. And when I have access to money, I should use that money to create more money. But today, that is my mindset. So no, I mean, all of the things that I've been through, the sum total of them are the reason I have the mindset that I have today. But I did not wake up like this. I was not born into it. When I started my entrepreneurship journey back in 2007, part of the reason why I ended up going back to work and filing bankruptcy is because everything that we help people with now was my problem. I undercharged, I overpackaged. I didn't know how to have a sales conversation and have it lead to someone giving me money. So I showed up to sales conversations with this very desperate energy because I had a bill I needed to pay. And if I didn't pay that bill, who knows what might happen. So I like to say, Charles, I got it honestly, and which helps me today to be a really great coach and mentors, because I've been there, done that, and have the t-shirt for all of the scenarios before getting to the point where I was able to scale and ultimately sustain my multiple seven-figure company and show other people how to do it. Real life experience, no theory. I've lived it. And that's what makes it even more real and practical for other people.
Right. How did you not end up a crackhead yourself? I had like alcohol in my family, and I was like this party animal when I was younger. And I think I turned out that way because, well, entrepreneur that is, and successful because my dad's an entrepreneur, but I also had mentors along the way to teach me some stuff, to take risk and so forth. I was kind of directionless when I was young, and I was very much influenceable. Um, a lot of people in the hood, they don't get out of these situations. So how
True.
did you get out of that?
Yeah, very early on, I looked at what my mom and what my dad were doing. And instead of going to the left like my dad or to the right like my mom, I decided to go straight ahead. And so for me, education was my drug. I studied, I read books, I learned. I was so committed to not that being my reality that it wasn't. Now, I can't say the same for my brothers and sisters. They got caught up in the game, they got caught up in the struggle. But personally, I decided I wanted something other than that. And I was willing to do something that would allow for that to happen. And for me, that was initially education. And, I went to college. I was of my seven brothers and sisters on my mom's side, I'm the only one who graduated from high school, went to college, have an advanced degree, and I also have an honorary PhD. Like that wouldn't have been possible, except I just decided I'm not getting high, I'm not having babies, I'm not doing any of the things that I see happening around me. I'm getting the hell out of here. And I'm going to go live a better life. So it was a very intentional decision. And after making that intentional decision, I believe, and I think Emerson says it best, once you decide, all of the universe rearranges itself to bring you what you decided. And so my trust in God and my belief in myself and making decisions that took me to what I said I wanted is what I did and what flowered my life, so that I didn't fall into the patterns that some of the other people that I know did.
Do you feel that times are getting harder nowadays? Do you feel it's like having crackhead parents, or violence in the hood. Do you feel things are getting better or worse in the US as of now?
I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know, and this is maybe going to sound crazy, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I mean, I'm sure all of these things are happening in the world and they're happening in the news, but I just don't care about what's happening in the world more than I care about what's happening to me. So I shield myself from all of that. And that's not to say that I'm not a philanthropist and I'm not benevolent and I don't give to causes that support these places, but I don't frequent or spend my time thinking about what's happening in the hood. I spend my time thinking about how I can make the world a better place for myself and for my family and for my clients. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I imagine for the people that are still there, it's more of the same, but I can't say for certain because I have no clue.
Well, I'm somewhat the same. It's not that I don't care about these causes, but it's that sometimes the news cycle and the negativity and media corrupts your mindset so much. And it's like, oh man, the world is just burning right now. And
It's
you
terrible.
just,
That's
you
why I
just
don't
don't
know.
get anywhere.
I have no idea what's happening in the world. And this, I'm not necessarily proud to say this. I know this podcast is going to be shared with lots of people. I'm not entirely proud to say it, but it is the truth. I get the highlights. I cannot tell you the last time I watched news. I was probably a child, or I was probably in like a waiting room somewhere and there was nothing else on TV and I was forced. And even then I wasn't watching it. It was just in my circumference, right? I have no clue and I don't care. And I know that probably sounds really bad, but it works for me. I get the highlights. So,
Yeah.
I know the things that I need to know, but I don't care to get caught up in that. And the media it's designed to highlight the things that are bad and wrong and to
Right.
sensationalize fear. And I don't want to sit in the seat of fear. I want to sit in the seat of significance. And so I have to guard my mind from the things that I let in, right? If you put
Right.
garbage in, garbage is going to come out. So I try to put
Mhm.
good in so that good comes out.
Right. Well, this whole system, I mean, if you go on autopilot, you do what you're told, listen to news, like don't get much education and go for easy. I mean, it's set up for you to fail. It's not that it's designed intentionally that way, it's just that it's still very much fight or flight and the law of survival, Darwinism nowadays. It's quite a harsh environment here. And if you just like weave off the course just a little bit, years later, you might wake up and you might have a horrible life. And media is so toxic. And if mindset is the name of the game, you don't want to feed your mind with poison. I think one
Absolutely.
of the best thing you can do as a successful person is one, be successful, right? Just being successful and others will look at you, they will come to you for advice. And two, share your deck, like share how you got there and
Yep.
your story and your roadmap. I think that's very valuable and you're certainly doing that. So thanks for that. I'm
Absolutely.
curious though, like nowadays, new year has turned, we're now 2024. You and I, we talked about goals. What are your goals this year and how do you think, or how will you actually get to these goals? What actions will you take?
Yeah. So, my primary goal is to be an amazing human, like to be honest. And I know that's crazy. So how will I get to that goal? By showing up fully every single day, by operating in integrity, by being kind to people, by doing good deeds, by treating people the way that I want to be treated. But I know what you really want to know is like, how am I going to hit the goals that I set for my business, right? So, I'm a high achiever. I want to impact the world. And so I measure my success by the number of lives that are changed as a result of the work that it is that I do. So in order to do that, my numbers have to get bigger, right? And I looked at the goals that you have and I was like, oh yeah, I want those goals. I didn't set my goals that granularly, but I do want to impact more people. I'd love to have 100,000 more followers and on all of the various platforms. One of my big missions this year, my theme for the year is anchored ascension. And what I mean by that is in order to go up, you're going to have to go down. So you got to go deeper. And so for me, going deeper into service, going deeper into who I am and my success clues, you just said it a moment ago, right? The custom roadmap that I built that got me to this level of success. Me sharing what I did is going to help other people without taking anything away from me. And if anything, it's going to make other people potentially seek me out as a potential option to help them to achieve the same thing. The more vulnerable and transparent I can be about my story and my journey and turning it into actionable content for other people, the more likely people will seek me out, right? So that's a big part of my goal, is to spend more time creating powerful videos. I have my own podcast, right? In our podcast, we get, anywhere from 30 to 50,000 downloads a month, right? So to grow that, I'd love to grow it where every single episode on the podcast within the first 30 days of the podcast coming out has 10,000 downloads. The ripple effect of that will lead to more results in the other areas of the business. A few years ago, I stopped chasing the financial number, the financial goal, and started focusing on my tithing or my giving goal. So my giving goal this year is $500,000, which, if you know how tithing works, in order to give away $500,000, it means my business is doing $5 million. So I like to focus on how I can give and serve other people as opposed to just the number, because I don't want to chase money. Money's not running from me. Money is always moving to me. So I want to create an environment for money to move to me faster. And the best way to do that is to be in service to other people. If you want to build wealth, serve. Find out your purpose, understand the problems that people have, and provide them service to that problem. And you will find wealth. Money will find you. It will overtake you. So those are the highlights of my goals. I want to be a better leader. I want to continue to develop a really strong, sound team so that the work that it is that we do is making an impact. I don't do this just for me, for my own ego, or even for money. I do this so that God can be honored and pleased with my service in the world. That's why I do everything that it is that I do. And so that's my primary emphasis in all that I do. But as the business grows, as we hit $5 million, then we will be able to do even more out in the world. To give away $500,000 in a year, like, that is amazing. The lives we will change because of that being our focus and our goal. It really excites me.
Really cool, Darnyelle. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, you can go to movetomillions.com, movetomillions.com, and how to connect with me everywhere is all going to be listed there for you.